Hello everyone, I'm the MoeChicken and welcome back to more Super Mario Kart. And today we are going to the Flower Cup, and today we are playing as Donkey Kong Jr. because look at him, how can you resist? Oh goodness, I did not use Donkey Kong or Bowser very much, although I love the way he looks from behind here. He just looks like such a big lump. He's such a big lump. Yeah, I didn't really use the heavy characters very much in this game. I mean, I feel like I've probably used just about everybody in later games, but in this one, not so much. I don't know, and I think a large part of that, honestly, is because they're sort of too heavy. Like, the two heavy characters, of course, are... Ow. Jeez. The two heavy characters are Bowser and, who am I playing? Donkey Kong Jr.? Right, totally spaced out there for a second because I was thinking about Bowser's fireball. Yeah. The idea behind them is that they're supposed to have not great turning, not great acceleration, really good top speed. And what's kind of funny is that there was actually, one of the things that's interesting about, well, pretty much Super Nintendo games in general, is that, you think about when SNES games came out in terms of, sort of the long arc of the development of video games. They came out at a time where games had enough capacity to let you include more information in the game, but also didn't have so much capacity that you could put a ton of supplemental information in the game. So you had, and all this relates to manuals. The manuals is what I'm getting towards with all this. You had a situation where manuals still carried useful information, but were not quite as necessary for basics. So, like, you take something like a Nintendo game. So, in the NES era, wow, great dodge there, Toad. I was about to pat myself on the back for actually lining up that shot, and then he just effortlessly jumped over it. Another thing that they took out from Mario Kart 64, which is for the best, is that enemies can just kind of, like, just dodge when they want to. They just dodge. Not a big deal. They can just dodge. Anyway, like, in a lot of games in the NES era, the controls and a lot of, like, setting information were included in the manual because otherwise you might not know how to play the game. And that's also why a lot of NES games have very, like, cryptic controls or objectives. It's because it was in the manual, and at the time they assumed you had the manual. But in the SNES era, you could convey a lot more in the game, so so they put other stuff in there, and that's why a lot of, like, especially Nintendo produced. Let's see, can I do this? Fall off, and yes, ha ha ha, fantastic. Especially a lot of games released by Nintendo. The manuals are really cool. Like, I remember when I got the Super Metroid. Actually, I'm trying to think now. When did I get Super Metroid? Because I love Super Metroid, but I'm trying to think when I feel like I've had it for ages, but I don't think I got it when I was a kid. Anyway, the Super Metroid manual, really cool. It's a really neat manual. And the manual for this was also really cool, and I know that because this is one of the first games, possibly the first game, that I ever bought with my own money, which I'm very happy about. And I still have the exact same cartridge. This is the original Super Mario Kart that I bought myself from Service Merchandise. And I still have the manual. And so the manual has, like, a bunch of stuff in there that's really neat. And one of the things... What this all comes back to the original thread of the conversation I was having, is that there's, like, a chart which will show you how each racer fares and what their strengths and weaknesses are. And since I have the manual, I guess we can scan it and show you. So, Ed, if you would, put that scan up right there. So, as you can see, it has, like, a couple of different sort of, I'm going off of memory at this point, so forgive me if as you're looking at this thing on the screen, I'm like, I think it looks like this, but I'm fairly certain it has like listings for acceleration and top speed and cornering and like weight. So like weight is a big thing in this game because of the coins, and I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, each like there were 8 racers, and they are grouped by in twos. So it's Mario and Luigi, Princess Toadstool and Yoshi, which, if I remember correctly, in the manual they called the Dragon and the Lady, which I thought was kind of fun. Even though I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a dinosaur, I guess they just thought it would be a neat sounding name, and it is. So there you go. Bowser and Donkey Kong Jr., and then Toad and Koopa Troopa. And they all have different strengths and weaknesses. And the heavy characters in this game really only have their acceleration going for them. They have terrible cornering, they have terrible acceleration. I mean, they have weight. I guess I'll go ahead and explain that. So, I believe they reintroduced this for Super Circuit, and also more recently for Mario Kart 8. But in this game, you had coins. And coins are significant for 2 reasons. First of all, when you have over 10 coins or more, you have access... Oh, that was not what I meant to do at all, but that's cool. You have access to the full top... Oh, jeez. Okay. You have access to the full top speed of your vehicle, meaning that, like, your speed is capped until you have 10 coins. Which is exactly what that phrase would mean. Sorry. The other thing is that... Oh, great. Not doing so well in this race. I'll just hit Yoshi. just to work out some aggression, I'll just hit Yoshi again. Bowser, what you doing there, buddy? Just kind of like bumping into the wall. What was I trying to say? Yes. So, for every time you collide with someone, they lose a coin. So, if I bump into someone else, they lose a coin. Actually, in one-player mode, I think if I bump into someone else, I lose a coin. So there you go. And then if you have no coins, you bump into someone, you spin out, which is kind of a huge penalty. That's a big deal. And so you want to make sure that not only do you have enough coins to maintain your speed, you also have enough coins to not spin out. And where weight comes into that is that even if you have coins, if someone collides with you, it will sort of determine how far off track you were sent by your weight. Pretty standard physics stuff. With the heavy characters, it's really minimal. Like when you collide with someone, they go flying. When someone collides with you, it's like you don't care, and that's really helpful in some races. So there's definitely a benefit, but for the most part, I don't know. I just didn't like the heavies too much. That's me. Donkey Kong is now hitting himself, and it's okay. It's not self-abuse. It's just self-aggrandizement. Oh my goodness. It took me a long time to get to the point I was trying to get to there. But that's how it is when you play games and you talk over them, is that you just sort of like ramble. You just kind of ramble. I don't know. Last race is, oh yes, this place. Final race. So something I haven't really talked about, I guess, is that each race in this game is 5 laps. So I feel like in most of the other Mario Kart games, it's 3 laps. Unless there's something special about the course. Like every once in a while you'll get like a drag race course, like what is it, Mount Wario or something like that in Mario Kart 8, the one that's like you're like the entire race is down a mountain, which is a really cool level, by the way. I think that's a really neat concept. I'm trying to think if there are others that are just 1. There are a couple that are just like 2 laps. I feel like that started to become more common around wow. Way to go, me. I feel like that started to become more common around Mario Kart Wii, but usually it would be 3. And in this game, every single race is 5, which kind of gives you a different perspective on the race a little bit, because like there's more time, I feel, and as a result, a lot of the courses are sort of smaller than you might expect. All that to say, I honestly do really like the course layouts in this game. Like with Mario Kart 64, they started emphasizing the idea of verticality, I guess. You know, because they could. Because unlike this game, which just uses Mode 7, they could actually show height differences and such. So they wanted to have a lot of racetracks that had like jumps and different layers and like all these other things to show off the fact that they could. But in this game, they pretty much only had horizontal planes to work with, so that's all they did. And so a lot of the racetracks are just kind of technically interesting racetracks from a driving perspective. Anyway, I believe I have just gotten first place on every race with Mr. Donkey Kong Jr., and we are now going to go on to the award ceremony, whereupon another gold trophy will be dropped on top of my head by this mysterious Cheep Cheep. Is it a blimp? Is it a fish? Who knows? But it does distribute trophies. Thank you very much. And now I will pop you. And then I will do cool juggling tricks, I guess is what that's supposed to be. It's a little strange looking. Also, why has he got like a V on his onesie? I don't know. But 100cc Flower Cup race. Donkey Kong Jr. wins the gold. Great race. And that's going to be it for this episode. I'm the MoeChicken. This is Super Mario Kart, as you can see. And as always, thanks for stopping by.